Caitlin Clark's rise in women's basketball has been nothing short of remarkable, a whirlwind of deep threes, no-look passes, and leadership that has sparked interest, and surprisingly a ripple of unrest in the WNBA. Her impact, even before officially entering the professional league, has already stirred debates, inspiring a mix of admiration and unease within the basketball community. But when you talk about Caitlin Clark, you aren't just discussing an athlete who can shoot lights out from half court or put defenders in a blender with a quick crossover. You're talking about someone whose presence alone demands attention, and in doing so, causes waves. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. In this particular saga, Clark's move, or perhaps the idea of her move, to the WNBA is the catalyst for a revolt that's been bubbling beneath the surface of the league for some time. It's like watching the quiet simmer of a pot finally reaching its boiling point. The WNBA, known for its camaraderie and mutual respect among players, suddenly finds itself divided. Some see Clark as a blessing, a shot in the arm the league desperately needs to boost ratings and draw larger crowds. Others, however, view her as an emblem of something that needs correction, a shift in focus from the collective to the individual, from grinded-out veterans to flashy newcomers. And in all of this, Jason Whitlock steps onto the stage, offering his candid thoughts and analysis in a way that only he can. Whitlock has always had a knack for saying things that make people either nod in agreement or shake their heads in frustration. His voice carries weight, especially in sports commentary, because he's never been one to sugarcoat anything. When he spoke about Clark and the turmoil surrounding her potential leap to the WNBA, people listened, even if they didn't like what they heard. His words were sharp but rooted in the truth, as he saw it. According to Whitlock, Caitlin Clark wasn't just another great player. She represented a shift, a monumental one, that many were either too blind to see or too stubborn to acknowledge. He spoke volumes, not by shouting or grandstanding, but by cutting through the noise and getting to the heart of the issue. For years, the WNBA has been a league where teamwork is valued over individual flair, where the success of the whole was seen as more important than the stardom of the few. Players like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Candace Parker built legacies on consistency, leadership, and a deep understanding of the game. They were undoubtedly stars, but they were stars within the framework of a system that placed equal emphasis on the success of the team. Enter Caitlin Clark, a player whose style screams individual brilliance. She's the kind of player who, with one jaw-dropping play, can overshadow the entire game. It's not that she's selfish or that she doesn't care about winning. In fact, she's one of the most competitive players you'll ever see. But her style is loud, brash, and impossible to ignore. And that's where the rub is for some. You can almost picture the veterans in the WNBA watching Clark from afar, some nodding in appreciation of her talent, others grimacing at the attention she's already garnering. It's like a scene straight out of a sports drama, where the old guard is reluctant to pass the torch to the new blood. It's not that they don't want the league to evolve, but Clark represents a different kind of evolution, one that challenges the very ethos the league was built on. Clark's arrival, or even just the thought of it, stirs a kind of identity crisis within the WNBA. For years, the league has struggled to find its footing in the broader sports landscape. Despite the incredible talent on display, the WNBA has often played second fiddle to the NBA in terms of viewership, sponsorship deals, and media coverage. Clark, with her highlight reel plays and undeniable star power, presents an opportunity for the league to finally break through that barrier. But here's the twist. Her arrival also threatens to upend the delicate balance that has kept the WNBA grounded. This is where the revolt begins to take shape. It's not a revolt in the sense of players walking out or refusing to play, but rather a revolt of perspectives. There's a growing tension between those who believe Clark can single-handedly elevate the league and those who fear that placing too much focus on one player, no matter how good she is, could harm the league's long-term goals. It's a classic debate. Should the WNBA lean into the cult of personality that has driven so much of the NBA's success, or should it remain steadfast in its commitment to team basketball and collective excellence? Whitlock's commentary poured gasoline on that fire. He didn't pull any punches in addressing what he saw as the inevitable shift in focus that Clark's entry would bring. He acknowledged her talent, of course, but he also raised concerns about what that kind of star power could do to a league that for so long has prided itself on being different from its male counterpart. Whitlock wasn't suggesting that Clark shouldn't join the WNBA, but he did question what kind of league the WNBA would become once she did. Would it become a league driven by individual stars, each trying to outshine the other? Or would the WNBA find a way to incorporate Clark's brilliance without losing its identity? In the midst of all this, Clark remains as ever focused on her game. It's part of what makes her so fascinating to watch. She's not interested in the drama, at least not publicly. She's a basketball player, through and through, and all she cares about is winning. Whether she's draining a 30-footer with a defender in her face or setting up her teammates for easy buckets, Clark's focus is singular. But for all her tunnel vision on the court, she's no fool. She knows what's happening around her. She understands that she's become a lightning rod for a much larger conversation about the future of women's basketball. And in some ways, that's exactly where she wants to be. It's easy to imagine Clark, in her typical fashion, shrugging off all the noise with a wry smile, as if to say, "Let them talk. I'll keep playing." That's part of her charm. She doesn't get caught up in the drama. She's confident, sometimes to a fault. But she's also grounded in a way that makes her feel both larger than life and refreshingly normal at the same time. It's a balancing act that only a few athletes can pull off, and Clark does it effortlessly. Yet, for all her nonchalance, the implications of her move, or her future move, are undeniable. The WNBA, whether it likes it or not, is about to change. Clark's entrance will bring with it a new wave of fans, many of whom may have never watched a WNBA game before. Her arrival will also bring increased media scrutiny and more opportunities for the league to grow its brand. But with that growth comes a price. The WNBA will have to reconcile its past with its future, balancing the team-first mentality that has long defined it with the star-driven culture that Clark embodies. It's a delicate dance, and no one knows exactly how it will play out. Some believe Clark's move could be the best thing to ever happen to the WNBA, a chance for the league to finally capture the attention it deserves. Others worry that in embracing Clark's stardom, the WNBA risks losing the very thing that makes it special, its focus on the collective over the individual. And in the middle of it all, Jason Whitlock continues to speak his mind, offering a perspective that is, if nothing else, unflinching. At the heart of this story is a simple truth. Caitlin Clark is a game changer. Whether you love her or hate her, whether you think she's the future of the WNBA or a threat to its identity, you can't ignore her. She's too good, too captivating, too important to be ignored. And as the WNBA grapples with the implications of her eventual move, one thing is clear. Clark is here to stay, and the league will never be the same because of it. In the end, it's not just about basketball. It's about what Caitlin Clark represents, the push and pull between tradition and innovation, between the old guard and the new generation. She's a symbol of the tension that exists within the WNBA as it tries to carve out its place in the crowded sports landscape. But more than that, Clark is a reminder that sometimes all it takes is one player to change everything. As the WNBA braces for this shift, the rest of us watch with bated breath, waiting to see what happens next. One thing is for sure, Caitlin Clark is not just another player. She's a force of nature, and her impact on the WNBA, whether intentional or not, is already being felt. Whitlock may speak volumes, but Clark just plays, and in doing so, she says more than words ever could. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.